What's up you guys, Rich here, yes, bringing you yet another video. And in this video guys, we are going to meet Shelby and Lee once again to actually talk about their experience about buying, renovating, and then finally selling their real estate here on Lake Chapala in just over 1 year. I mean, can you believe it? They purchased some property with me, they renovated it, and they sold it in just over a year. It was incredible. So, and I was part of this whole process with them. And they're here, they're going to share their lessons of what they kind of realized about the whole thing about living here in Mexico. They're going to share with you all the little details that may help you in the future buy real estate, renovate it, and sell real estate here in Mexico. So stay tuned, guys. Lee and Shelby are on their way. This is going to be a great interview, guys, so stick with it. It's going to be a long one, but they've got so much information they want to share with you. Anyway guys, if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe, hit that notification button and give it a thumbs up. I do videos every single week about living here in Mexico, showing you real estate and give you little tips and tricks about living here in Mexico. So if you're into that guys, just subscribe. Anyway, on that note, let's get back. Shelby and Lee, it's been a while. Hopefully, I think they're doing great. Shelby just made me a coffee. Let's go and listen to the interview and see what you can find out about buying, renovating, and selling here in Mexico. The video is on its way. So welcome back, guys. This is kind of like the end of a sequence of videos that we've done together about buying real estate here in Mexico. So this video is all about your experience about buying, renovating, and then selling in just over a year here in Mexico. So welcome back. I'm sure there's loads of people on the page on the channel that have been watching you. They love you guys. They love the fact that you've been sharing all your experiences, and I think they're going to they'll really appreciate this video because you're gonna bring your insight, your hindsight, all the things that maybe you wish you'd known before you'd gone through this whole process. If you haven't seen the other series with Shelby and Lee buying real estate here in Mexico, well, check it out. I'll leave all the other videos they've done about their whole experience about buying real estate here in Mexico. This video is more about the overall experience they've had and their life lessons they've taken away from this experience about buying real estate here in Mexico and renovating and selling it in just over a year, which is incredible that you've managed all that in a year.
I just wanted to say thanks guys for watching. You know, it was kind of nerve-wracking to agree to do these videos and never have been on film before and knowing that people are watching. It's a little bit of a strange experience. But I think we wanted to do this because for so long we had watched YouTube videos, and every time we watched people, we wanted more of the nitty-gritty info. We wanted to know, well, how did you do it? How much was it? Why? Where? So we kind of wanted to share our experiences with you so that you would have that information too, because I know a lot of you are looking for that. You want to know, how did you do this and what was the process? And sometimes it is a bit dry, although there's little stories and tidbits with each step. But we were just hoping to share this experience so that you would also be informed if you choose to go on this type of adventure in your life. Every step's an adventure, and that's kind of what this was about.
From day one. From day one, yeah. You guys were looking for the adventure. Yeah,
we didn't know how things are going to turn out. You never know. You just have to go full in, because if you don't go all in, you don't know, and you don't get out of it, you know, what you need to take away, those experiences you need to take away. So I just say, you know, make a decision. If you want to move, try it out, go for it, do it. You know, you're not going to lose. You're going to go away rich with experience. So
absolutely.
Everybody talks about, you know, buying a sailboat and cruising the world, or moving to Mexico or someplace that's warm and tropical. And that's why the camaraderie here is so great among the expats, is because hardly anybody ever does it. it takes a lot of guts to say goodbye to your family and your friends and sell everything that you own, and actually, you know, make that move. But
the rewards you get, I think, from it and the personal growth you experience are worth it in the end.
Guys, I want to cover each of the processes that you've been through in this whole experience of buying, renovating and selling. Just briefly, the buying and the renovating, because if you want to see more of that, of what they go into a lot more in depth on the other videos, guys, and they'll all be linked in the description. So just go into the other videos if you want to watch the whole series. This one, we're going to really be focusing on the selling, what they've learned from the selling of this beautiful duplex here in Renovating de Pilar. Only 15 minutes from Ajijica, about 10 minutes from Chapala, here on Lake Chapala in Mexico. And then their overall lessons and life lessons that they've picked up from this experience. Shelby made me a coffee, which is absolutely delicious. Thank you, Shelby.
De nada.
So, the buying, guys. What would you say are your main 3, say, top tips or top lessons that you've learned from buying real estate here in Mexico, in this specific area of Jalisco, Lake Chapala?
first, I'd say have your finances in order. Mortgages down here are very rare. They're getting to be a little more popular, but you pretty much are going to need the cash to make a purchase.
Yeah.
And transferring money down here, you hear all the time, you know, we're a global village, but here in Mexico, you're on the dark side of the moon. You know, wait till you try to send a couple $100,000 from either Canada to the US down to Mexico, and suddenly you find out that it's not near as easy as you thought. So one of the recommendations that we have is to either have somebody who has access to your bank account, a father, a brother, somebody you trust, that can look after your banking needs on that end. As a matter of fact, we had the buyer that we just sold to have to go back to the States for the only reason to sign her bank transfer.
A wet signature.
A wet signature
Yeah.
on the bank.
Yeah. Now, before we left Canada, I anticipated issues. And I didn't want to be in another country, because we were in Costa Rica and other places before, and think, I got to go all the way home to straighten this out, but I don't have any money because I don't have access to my account. So I put my father on our account. So that way, if there was an issue, he could go right into the bank and fix it for us. And that has worked out a number of times. It's been brilliant. So
And
that
he
would
can
be a
do
top tip.
basically anything to the account that you can do.
His name's on the account, so yeah,
Yeah.
he's in control. I mean, of course, somebody you trust. And yes, Dad, I trust you implicitly. Love you. So the other part was get your visa, your temporal or your permanente. You don't have to have that immediately when you buy, but you will want that to switch the CFE over into your name, have any sort of utility bills in your name for the ease, and then we'll get to it later on the sell.
On the sell, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, number 1 is to get someone on your bank account with a wet signature.
Yeah.
Or leave a wet signature and get someone on your bank account in the US or in Canada, or wherever you're coming from, that can sign on your behalf if you need to transfer money to Mexico. Well, as Shelby was just explaining, the very person buying this property had to travel back to her bank in the US and physically go into the bank and physically send the money, which was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's fine for us, but you know that's a whole
For the
other
buyers.
flight and journey during COVID times to go back home to
Absolutely.
do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it did work out in the end. She had to go back for other reasons. This just pushed it up, but stressful for her as well. You know, trying to get this together. So just keep that in mind. You know, you like a place and you want to buy it, but all of a sudden you don't have access to your funds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another thing that we get asked all the time is, what about mail? Forget mail. You want to have somebody back, you know, in your country that you use as a mailing address, you know, for income tax, for union papers, for anything that, you know, they're going to communicate with you by mail. That way, you know, you can have this trusted person open your mail and then send you an email, you know, so that you can print it out down here, sign it if you have to with electronic signature and send it back. But forget about getting mail down here.
Yeah, I mean, keep it. I always say to people, keep it FedEx, DHL.
Right.
If you and because it's trackable, it normally comes in a good amount of time. Of course, you're paying premium for that service, but it's worth it at the end of the day. Or have a PO box account in the US that your postal packages or letters get to, and there are services down here that actually can pick up from the US and deliver it directly to a postal box
like
here
an iShop or something.
in Ahihik or Lake Chapala or anywhere else. There's services for that, guys. I think it's really, really important. So would they be your main tips on the buy? Make sure you have someone on your account or leave a wet signature. Set up your resident card so you can actually, you can be a temporary or permanent resident of Mexico. And the other thing is your postal requirements.
And we could also add to that on the, if you're going to buy a piece of property here thinking that you're going to leave it to an heir, be advised that if they're not a resident, if you leave a piece of property in your will to somebody who's not a Mexican resident, the taxes on that piece of property that they'll have to pay are horrendous, 30-some%, I think. So you might want to have your son or daughter, if that's the plan, to also apply for a residency while you're doing it. And that way you'll save them thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
My other thought too is, and people always, clearly we chose Rich. You want to choose Rich. Or
thank you. I paid Shelby to say that.
Or let's say it's not in this area. Make sure that when you're getting a property, you're asking how much is that agent going to help you after you purchase? Because after you buy, there is a number of things that you need to do. Like Rich and his agency walked us through going to the CFE, setting up our Telmex, helping us get those utility bills all set up, which could be difficult with limited Spanish and going into these places and not knowing what are the steps. The power companies require specific things. So doing things like that. So you want to make sure, you choose an agency that actually is going to take it to the next level. They're going to finish the buying process and the setup of your house.
So the after sale service.
Yeah, because I've heard a number of people, they were just left on their own, basically, and it's kind of like, well, you bought the house, and technically, yes, the real estate agent is done. They helped you purchase, but it is nice to have those extra steps to help you along the way. That definitely makes it more valuable of a service and kind of ties you together too a bit more to each other.
Absolutely. I find it's very rewarding job. This job that being a real estate agent here is you become really friendly with the people that you're serving, and you spend a lot of time with them. And I'm very grateful. I've spent lots of time with Shelby and Lee. We meet up for breakfast sometimes, and it's fantastic.
It's a small community too.
It's
like
a very
lot
small
of people
community.
know each other for sure.
So make sure that the final one is make sure you shop around and find the agent that you click with in the best way that will give you that after service that you will probably need. And really, it's just ask a lot of questions. I think when you meet someone, it's like, oh, what? And a good agent will walk you through the process. Before the sale, during the sale, after the sale, and they'll be able to explain everything, and you'll get that feel from them if they're the right fit for you.
I think a few times Rich was like, okay, so actually we need to look in this range then. So we need an agent that's listening so that they can start taking you to the properties, one, that are in your price range, and two, that kind of fit the bill of what you're looking for. So
yeah.
It's easy to find somebody that doesn't listen, and all of a sudden you're off to all these beautiful, lovely properties, maybe that you can't afford or that aren't what you're looking for. It's lovely to look at, but this actually isn't going to work.
We shopped around a bit, didn't we? We shopped around a bit, yeah. Okay, guys, so let's move on. The bit I know a lot of people always ask about this, the renovation. I mean, the remodeling. It was an interesting journey for you guys, right? Because you did some serious remodeling on this place. The bathroom, completely gutted the bathroom downstairs. You fixed the roof, solar panels, What are your big takeaways from that?
I have something I'd like to put in here that's kind of applies to everything, but just, kind of a bit of a warning for the people that are watching this. You've been to Puerto Vallarta, you've been to Cancun, you've been to wherever, and you'd almost think that Mexico is bilingual, because when you go to these holiday places, Mexico is bilingual, but Mexico's not. Mexico is Spanish. So as soon as you leave those holiday resorts, you're dealing with Spanish, the Spanish language. And one of the things that everybody tells you, not just us, but other podcasts, that people wish they'd done, they wish they'd started their Spanish before they'd left their native country. I just wanted to add that, because of course renovations and buying furniture and all that stuff is a whole lot harder when you don't understand what you're being told.
Yeah. And we've heard that time and time again ourselves, and we had full, we were going to do that and we didn't, but listen to us. If you're at home now, it's COVID, sign up for a language, do it. It's very important.
Absolutely.
It helps you fit in better.
It certainly does. And I think if anything, you earn the respect from the locals more.
Yeah.
Because you're speaking the same language. You're speaking, you're doing your best. You're doing your best to understand and to communicate in the language of the country that you're in. I think it's only right.
It's only right. Yeah, I agree. It's only right.
Yeah. If there was a right or wrong, it was only.
Well, you'd expect this. I know we say the same thing coming to Canada or the States. It's like, well, you need to speak English. So when you go to another country, you also need to do likewise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to so many times you think you've communicated one thing and it's agreed or understood, but it's not. It's lost in translation.
It's lost in translation. And that can happen in your own language as well, guys.
Yes.
not just in Spanish, not just here in Mexico, but
So you might want to, talk to, if you buy a house, I would, this one, no, we agreed it needed things done to it before we moved in, for sure. But if you can, it's best to live in a home for a little bit to get a feel for it and see what exactly is it you want to do, and to communicate with your friends, other expats. Have they had things done? Who did it for them? Would they recommend them? And kind of find out that way, take a little bit of time. There's no rush. And find your contractor that way by communicating with other expats, joining websites on Facebook and seeing who keeps getting recommended, because you'll see the same names come up over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That being said, even if it's a fantastic contractor and is highly recommended, once you've hired them, of course you want a contract. So it's kind of laid out. This is what's being done, and this is what the price is going to be. Of course, pricing might change. You choose something more expensive tile or whatnot down the road. That's to be expected. But you need that contract in place so you've got a framework that you're following. Don't walk away and decide you're going to go off on vacation and they're going to do the work, and when you get back, it's all going to be wonderful.
Rosie.
You've got to be here every day, and you have to have a keen eye and look over the work that was done for the day. And then you need to report to the contractor, yes, I'm satisfied, or no, this needs to be fixed. So you do need to be on site, and I would say you almost need to be on site every single day to see what's happening, because you need to catch it as it's going along. So I know you've hired somebody and you think, great, they're going to take care of things. You really have to be involved, and you really have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah. I think what you're getting at here, and I'm just repeating what Shelby's saying, but you have to micromanage it, guys.
True.
And even if it's a very slight renovation where it's painting the inside and outside of the house, there's a way that you want it to be done, finished.
You want paint on the glass, or do you want sharp edges on the corners?
So by micromanaging it, not by being completely over your contractors or 24/7. I don't mean that. I just mean like you're overlooking their work. That's great. Do you mind doing a little bit over here or a little bit over there? And you're just giving them a little bit of direction the way you want things to be finished. In the nicest way possible. And I think that's what Shelby's doing.
You're just simply coming at the end of the day, you're going to take your own notes, and then you're going to meet up with the contractor and say, oh, notice this, can you change this, or, this isn't quite the right shade, or, just keeping an eye on things so that it's done to what you're expecting. Otherwise, if you walk away and come back, that might not be what you were expecting.
What's the matter? It works, doesn't it?
Yes. I think you should get a t-shirt with that on.
Yeah.
A t-shirt with that on.
The final thing is make sure that you do not pay your final payment until you are satisfied with the job, because what may happen is the contractor may have started another project and then you might see workers kind of filtering away.
Yeah.
They're here, but they're at another project, and not that they're not going to do it, but it's going to drag on and on
Because
a little
there's
bit
a
longer.
more important project to start.
Right.
That they have to put their energy into.
Yeah.
Totally
So
get
just
it,
make
yeah.
sure you're not paying out your last payment until you're sure that they've completed all the steps that they need to on your property.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Okay.
Do you want to add to that, Lee?
Well, I was going to add what we talked about earlier before the camera, and that people here...
We're not rehearsing this. This is not rehearsed.
No.
We had a little conversation.
No,
Yeah.
no.
We talk about what we're going to talk
You
about.
tell me the script and it's gone. People overbuying here, we see this all the time. People come here and they buy 2-3 bedroom because they think that their grandchildren or their children are going to come and visit here. This isn't really an area that young people, children like to come and visit, because most of the time when people come to Mexico, they want to go to the beach. They want to combine a visit and a holiday in one. And quite often what you end up doing is going down to the beach, Puerto Vallarta, with your family and having a vacation that way. So I'm just going to, say that a lot of people overbuy here, buy more bedrooms, more house than they need, thinking they're going to have all these visitors. And in reality, they probably could have got by with a little smaller place.
I would say that's a life lesson for us. Not that we overbought in the house, but we realized what size of a home we're satisfied with. And I think going forward, we will be keeping that in mind for a future purchase. Yeah, we're not buying on the premise that people are coming.
Right.
We're buying on what we need on a day-to-day basis kind of thing.
Got you. And I mean, you purchased this property as a duplex. You had the idea when you purchased it that you're going to live in one unit, rent the other unit. How did that go for you? Obviously, because that was your initial focus, or when you first got here. How did that whole thing work out for you?
I still think it was a great
I
idea.
think it's a great idea, yeah.
There's not enough duplexes set up the way this one is in the area, really. I think that's one of the reasons we had no
It's a
problem
unique
selling
property, for sure.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, pretty much the day we were ready to go with the whole plan, the COVID struck. So
Timing.
Yeah.
Timing is everything.
yes,
Although
timing was
the
everything.
ladies that we did have rent have come back, and actually we just met them for lunch the other day and went out with them. So lifelong friends from people that have rented. So, if you're going into your senior years too, and you want a second income, to have that, you can do that here. You can do that in Mexico. You can have that income, passive income, that you don't have to be going out and working a job for.
So the renovation, I mean, working with contractors, spending your time, take your time.
Take your time.
Ask around. See who's working, see who's got a good vibe. Check on Facebook. I mean, ask around. I mean, people will give you their experiences. Can I add, do you think everyone's experience is slightly different?
Oh, absolutely.
When it comes to these contractors? Because
Totally.
you could be the best contractor in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've all met them, but then you can do one bad job out of 20,
Right.
and suddenly you're the worst contractor.
Right.
Oh, totally. Because people only talk about the bad
Right.
bad experiences.
The
But
complainers are the loudest, for sure.
you can have the same I think I've heard this before on YouTube, where someone said, but this was my experience. Everyone's experience is different, whether that's, the contractor, going to the dentist, or a doctor, or whatever. Your experience is going to be unique to you, for sure,
Great.
in that circumstance.
All right, guys, moving on nicely. We're going to get into the selling. I think the selling is a really important part. A lot of people do not talk about the selling here in Mexico, so they get kind of caught out with the selling. If that's capital gains taxes, paying capital gains tax on your property and stuff like that when you sell. So let's talk about it. I mean, what would you say the main things are for you guys when you got to that point to put it back on the market? We put it back on the market in a year. From when you moved into the property,
it was a
we
year.
put it back on the market pretty much exactly a year later in COVID. During COVID, and with the renovation, the house looked great, the apartments looked fantastic, and it went pretty quick, didn't it? I mean, what were your big takeaways from the selling? That whole process.
It's complicated. There's 1,000 little details and T's to cross and I's to dot, especially if you want to take as much money away as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was pretty easy.
Well, yeah.
Well, one, you wanted a good agent, and two, a good notary that you trust that's going to do the right close for you and make sure it's all legal, and that you've got all your paperwork. So again, that comes back to an agent making sure you've got your paperwork that you need. And the biggest one, which was even when we went to buy, and we were sitting in the room with the seller at that time, and he saw what his final amount was that he was getting, and was shocked because he had to pay capital gains taxes. So we knew we didn't want to do that.
When you purchased
Yeah.
the duplex,
Right.
you were looking at the seller
then.
and the seller actually had to pay quite a bit
He
of capital
did.
gains because he didn't have a resident visa of Mexico. He was
Yes.
selling as a tourist.
It was an inheritance from his mother.
So it's a
Yeah.
two-step process. One, we needed to have a tax number. Well, three-step maybe then. Two, the tax number needs to be attached to your utility bills. And three, yes, you need to have your visa. So those are muy importante.
Muy importante.
So make sure that you've got your visa, temporal or permanente.
Either one is fine.
It was nice enough, again, that Rich helped us get our tax numbers. And then they also helped us apply those. Lee's was on the CFE and mine was on the Telmex bill, so
Right.
that we could prove that we had our tax numbers.
Co-owners, so we had to have co-bills, so that we each got our part of the deduction.
Yes.
Any good notary will be able to sit you down and do you a calculation of pretty much the roundabout figure that you will be paying on your capital gains tax way before you decide to sell your
Yeah.
property. But you do need to have all your paperwork in order to go to the notary, to sit down with him and for him to give you the correct amount. Otherwise, he won't even look into it.
So you need to get that started. You need to get your paperwork started before you sell, because you don't know how fast you're
Absolutely.
going to sell,
Yeah.
So make sure that that paperwork's in order. Otherwise, you're going to have a really ugly surprise
Yeah.
later.
and even the nationals can get caught out. It's not, I
Yeah.
mean, not everyone knows the recent changes in the real estate law here in Mexico. So if you're working with a reputable, I think is what Shelby's saying, if you're working with a reputable real estate company that does plenty of transactions with good agents representing the company, and a good notary that they work with on a regular basis, then that team of people really
Yeah.
helps that process be as smooth as possible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was easy.
Ooh, right. When it's
I
all-
thought it seemed pretty smooth, yeah.
When it's all done right, it's easy.
It's easy.
I wouldn't do it on my own. I
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't, again, because it's going to come down to the Spanish, and now you're talking Spanish with legal terms, and
Yeah.
reading legal documents is next level Spanish.
And yeah, absolutely. And I remember when we were in the notary as well, just to point out, they always do, they read the deed and they translate the deed in front of you
Yes.
just before you sign it,
Yeah.
or you're signing your house to sell it. So the notary that we particularly work with on a regular basis in Chapala Realtors, they do the whole translation because the lawyers are bilingual, so they respect the fact that you don't speak any Spanish, and they will translate the whole
thing for
the
you,
whole
yeah.
deed or the
Yeah.
escritor into English and help you understand it before you actually sign anything. That's really important. Really
Yeah.
important.
Very
Yeah.
professional, very organized.
They were very professional, very
Yeah.
organized, yeah.
Remembering, of course, that lawyers aren't really the be-all, end-all in Mexico. It's notary is over a lawyer here, not like back in Canada where the lawyer is a notary just signs papers as a witness back home. But here the notary is the legal word.
Yeah.
Yes. When it comes to real estate law, you really want to work with a licensed notario. The takeaways here, guys: get your visas cards, get all your paperwork in order before you sell. So it's a smooth process of what Shelby was saying. So I want to give it to you guys. So overall, we ended up you ended up, I was part of the process, you ended up buying, renovating a duplex here on Lake Chapala in Reveles de Pilar and selling it in just over a year. Congratulations, guys. Would you recommend it to people, what you've just done?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Like Lee said all the time, 10,000 people retire every day. I think unfortunately people become financial refugees because they can't afford to stay in their own country. And yeah, I think you should get out and you can have a full life living somewhere else on your Social Security or your retirement income. So yes, it's scary, but do it. Try it.
Try it.
Get out of your comfort zone and do it.
Would I recommend buying a house and renovating it and selling it all within a year? Probably not. But to come down for the adventure and to see whether it's for you or not, because it's not for everybody, this is for sure, but you're not going to know until you do it.
But anything else to close off this little series of working with me, going through the whole process, being on camera for the first time? I mean, you know, doing the whole YouTube, becoming little YouTube celebrities, local YouTube celebrities.
Well, thanks for watching, and it was really nice to meet people. People would come up to us in Walmart and on the street, and then they'd say our names, and I'd be like, what?
Yeah, we don't know you.
Who is that? Did we talk to somebody and I don't remember? So that was a strange but interesting, fun, wonderful experience. And again, it's like getting out of your comfort zone, right? This was definitely out of the comfort zone, and I just said, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. I have to admit, guys, you look more pro than ever today.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I'm always, you know.
Shelby's always glowing. You know,
yeah, I'm like,
Shelby, the journey continues now. You can tell the relaxation on Shelby's face now. She's like, the next adventure is to come.
Yes.
Yes. Look at that relaxation in the face.
You think?
She didn't look like that when we listed the property back online. When we put the property for sale.
Yeah, I'm ready to, I'm ready. When we started this, really, I wanted to see a lot of places. Unfortunately, COVID is here, so that's limiting it. But I think before we finally settle somewhere, because we do like having a home and we would like to nest in our home, there's a lot of places I want to see. Yeah.
How about you, Lee? Same?
Well, yeah, the dream has always been, you know, to go someplace warm and tropical. In the Canadian winters, that's what you do. And now that I've been, you know, 2.5 years someplace warm and tropical, Europe was never on my list, and now I think, you know, we'd like to eventually get over to Europe. It's really expensive, so we're trying to think of how we're going to do that economically. But yeah, I think we're ready for a change.
So you want to go? You're telling me off camera that you want to go to my neck of the woods. You want to go to England.
We're going to meet up with Rich in England.
Yes.
We want a narrow boat on the canal, so that's hopefully the next big adventure.
A narrow boat on the canal. Yeah.
And Rich said he's going to come home and visit sometime, so
Yeah,
If you don't-
absolutely, yeah.
we
yeah.
hope to see him.
I haven't been back to the UK because of COVID for some time,
Yeah.
at least 2 years. So slightly more than 2 years. So I'm itching to get back. So here we go. So I'm going to keep my distance, guys. So we're kind of keeping the COVID distance here. But I just wanted to say, guys, thank you so much for watching this whole series with us. It's been real fun to be working with Shelby and Lee and going through this whole process with them. I'm going to miss them because we've become very close in the past year and a half.
I hope that, you know, we see Rich again.
Yeah.
In our next place in Mexico.
Yes. So please show that appreciation, guys, by hitting the
Like button.
and subscribing to
Rich.
and there you go. Hit that like button, subscribe to me, and hit that notification button, that like button, the thumbs up. You get the
See how this is non-professional.
Yeah.
Non-scripted.
We'll do this again. Let's cut. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Hasta luego, amigos.